for the Franklin Special School District's September board meeting. Ask if you would stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, which will be led by Dr. Farmer, and then continue standing for a moment of silence.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Our agenda tonight calls for an oath of office, which will be conducted for our three newly elected board members. Ms. Newman could not be here, but she has been sworn in, and so we will be swearing in Mr. Tim Stillings to my right and Ms. Alina Bell to my left, and that will be done by Ms. Carol Reardon. Take your place.
I,
Take your name, please.
Alina Bell,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America
and the Constitution of the State of Tennessee,
and the Constitution of the State of Tennessee,
and that I will perform with fidelity
that I will perform with fidelity
and to the best of my skill and ability
and to the best of my skill and ability
the duties of my office as school board member of the Franklin Special School District.
as
Duties of
to
my
my
office
office as member of the
Franklin
Special
Special
School
School
District.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you.
Thank you, Carol.
And Mr. Chairman, if I could have just a moment of personal privilege, I would appreciate it. We have special guests in the crowd for our swearing in tonight. And Alina, would you like to acknowledge yours?
Yes. First, I'd like to acknowledge my husband, Gary Bell, of 28 years, my three of my four children, Chandler Bell, Avery Bell, and Grayson Bell. And then I'd also like to recognize my sister and brother-in-law, Chris and Dorena Williamson, and Chris is also my pastor. Thank you all for being here.
And I would also like to acknowledge my father, Martin Stillings. He's been my father 64 years. And he helped me in my first campaign 24 years ago. And he helped me this time too. So thank you. Also my wife of 39 years, Melissa. And so we wanted to acknowledge our family members who are here tonight to see us being sworn in. So thank you for coming.
And as a board, we're so privileged and glad to have Alina, Tim, and Robin back with us as well. This time we'll turn it over to Dr. Snowden for election of board officers.
Okay, it's time to elect officers for the new year. So at this time, and as you recall, you can nominate a slate of officers or you can nominate individually. So we'll say now the floor is open for nominations. If there's not a nomination for a slate, we'll take nomination for the chair first. Do I hear any nominations?
If I may, I think our current slate of officers have done a remarkable job and would be more than qualified to continue serving. And it's been our tradition, whether we've done this by accident or just over time, the slate of officers excuse me, that serve 1 year continue to serve until they're either no longer on the board, they don't run for re-election, they don't run for office again, but we always defer. And whether or not this is the year to do that again or not, I don't know. But when I was board chair, I always made sure that each individual board member participated in the meetings, were trained up, had areas of stewardship. And Robert, I thank you for continuing that, because as we sit here, we have 6 board members who are qualified to be chairman. Now, as long as I can remember, I'm the only chairman, past chairman, who has still been on the board, because as tradition has it, that person usually rolls off. And that's left a void of experience. And being a past chair still on the board, I've seen where there's a great value of that person still being on the board. There's a lot of experience. There's a lot of things that go on behind the scenes that I know are going on that I can share and talk with and understand. And I think other board members should have that experience as well. So whether or not this is the year or not to do something other than what we've always done, I don't know. But I just want to throw it out there for discussion. And probably the way to get that discussion started is to nominate a slate of officers and just for discussion and a vote, if possible. So I nominate a slate of officers to be Alina Barker, Chair, Alina Bell, Vice Chair, Kevin Townsell, Secretary, Robin Newman, Treasurer. That was a motion. So, for discussion, a motion is on the table, and whether it gets a second or not is...
Okay. Just for clarification, you said Alina Barker for chair?
Is that what I said?
That's
Well,
what
apparently you two need to team up and do that. Alicia Barker. Alicia Barker.
I'm okay with that. I mean, she's
Yeah.
a pretty powerful woman.
Yeah. Alicia Barker, Chair. Alina Bell, Vice Chair. And even if it doesn't get a second, let's discuss it.
Well, I second. Let's discuss.
Let me make sure. What's the slate again?
Alicia, Chair. Alina, Vice Chair. You, Grand Secretary. And Robin, Treasurer. Okay.
That isn't the slate I would have thought. Robert's been chair now
2 years.
2 years. So I would have thought we'd have Robert as chair a little longer, and then after that, I think the current vice chair is Alina.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought after Robert would have been Alina's shot at it. So that's my unreadiness. I think you're right. We all could be chair. We all have the qualifications. But for me, it wasn't how I saw tonight working out. So those are my thoughts. That's why I didn't second.
Okay. No, I agree with you. The current slate, as I said earlier, is a phenomenal group of officers. But I see that there is tremendous value in having a past chairman as being a board member as well.
Okay, I'm following you now. Yeah.
Because in the past, that experience has rolled off the board.
Gotcha.
What my intent here is to keep that on the board and to bring everybody up even further.
All right, I'm tracking now, and I think that's something that does have legs for the future. I don't know if I see it tonight, but I hear what you're saying.
Okay. So if you will retract your second, I will retract my motion and make another motion, because I'm not seeing that this is an item that we can move forward on without some additional thought and discussion.
Okay, I retract my second.
And I retract my original motion and move that we accept the current slate of officers who have done a phenomenal job and would do a remarkable job this coming year.
I second that.
Are there any further nominations? Okay, do we have a motion that nominations be closed?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
You got a motion and a second to be closed. All in favor of closing nomination, please raise your hand. Okay, the nomination is closed. Now, all in favor of the slate of officers, if you will please raise your hand. All opposed would be no. All in favor, please raise your hand of the slate. It's unanimous. Thank you.
I do have to leave. I have a prior other commitment, so thank y'all.
We will now continue the meeting with recognition Good News Awards. Alicia?
Okay, I would like to read the resolution of the Franklin Special School District Board of Education. This is in support of our students and teachers by requesting the Tennessee General Assembly to amend TCA 49-6-3115 to allow school districts to make retention decisions for 3rd and 4th grade students. Whereas the Franklin Special School District is charged with governing the school district so that all students receive the best educational opportunities in order to graduate prepared to enter a post-secondary institution or the workforce, and whereas during its 2021 first extraordinary session, the Tennessee General Assembly adopted Public Chapter Number 1, now codified as TCA 49-6-3115, which provides in pertinent part that beginning with the 2022-23 school year, a student in 3rd grade shall not be promoted to the 3rd grade level unless the student is determined to be proficient in English language arts, based on the student achieving a performance level rating of on track or mastered on the ELA portion of the student's most recent Tennessee Comprehensive Assessment Program, or TCAP test. And whereas TCA 49-6-3115 provides that, notwithstanding the aforementioned provision, a 3rd grade student who is not proficient in ELA, as determined by the student achieving a performance level rate of approaching on the ELA portion of the student's most recent TCAP test, may be promoted if the student is an English language learner and has received less than 2 years of ELA instruction, the student was previously retained in any of the grades K through 3, C, the student is retested before beginning the next school year and scores proficient in ELA, D, the student attends a learning loss bridge camp before beginning of the upcoming school year, maintains a 90% attendance rate at the camp, and the student's performance on the post-test at the end of the learning loss bridge camp demonstrates adequate growth as determined by the Department of Education, or E, the student is assigned a tutor through the Tennessee Accelerating Literacy and Learning Corps to provide the student with tutoring services for the entirety of the upcoming school year based on tutoring requirements established by the Department of Education. And whereas TCA 49-6-3115 provides that a third grade student who is not proficient in ELA as determined by the student achieving a performance level rating of below on the ELA portion of the student's most recent TCAP test may be promoted if the student is an English language learner and has received less than 2 years of ELA instruction. B, the student was previously retained in any of the grades K through 3. C, the student is retested before beginning the next school year and scores proficient in ELA. Or D, the student attends a learning loss bridge camp before the beginning of the upcoming school year, maintains a 90% attendance rate at the camp, and is assigned a tutor through the Tennessee Accelerating Literacy and Learning Corps to provide a student with tutoring service for the entirety of the upcoming school year based on tutoring requirements established by the Department of Education. And whereas a student who is promoted to the 4th grade pursuant to this process must show adequate growth on the 4th grade ELA portion of the TCAP test as determined by the Department of Education before the student may be promoted to the 5th grade. And whereas in states that have adopted legislation regarding the retention of 3rd grade students, the educational outcomes for the students who have been retained have been mixed, with one reported negative outcome being that retention laws can have adverse effects on students with disabilities and at-risk students. And whereas other than Tennessee, most, if not all, of the states that have adopted legislation regarding the retention of 3rd grade students have included in that legislation a provision allowing school districts to promote students who were not proficient in ELA as measured by standardized state tests, but yet showed progress based on school district data, demonstrating an understanding of ELA via alternative knowledge assessments. And whereas Tennessee's failure to afford school districts the discretion to make retention decisions based on all school district information on each student adversely and disproportionately affects students who, for many reasons, might not perform well on standardized tests, but yet demonstrate an understanding of ELA via alternative knowledge assessments. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Franklin Special School District Board of Education urges the General Assembly to amend TCA 49-6-3115 to allow school districts to make retention decisions for 3rd and 4th grade students based upon all school district information on each student.
Thank you. I would like for our Student Artist of the Month, Eliza Cathy, to please come forward. I'm going to read a little bit about you. Moore Elementary School 4th grader Eliza Cathy is the Franklin Special School District Student Artist for September. Eliza completed her beautiful oil pastel pumpkin artwork in Mr. Reynolds' art class. During the lesson, students learned about the various ways to use oil pastel and the different techniques for blending. They also learned techniques for shading to make their drawings appear more three-dimensional. Mr. Reynolds provided students with the opportunity to explore printmaking by creating multi-layered monotype backgrounds. For these backgrounds, students explored the school playground and sourced their own leaves for this technique. Eliza's pumpkin is a beautiful way to celebrate our employee birthdays and is featured on the front of the birthday cards for the month. A special thank you to Chuck Sugg and Sonic Drive-In for sponsoring the Student Artist of the Month program with a generous $15 gift card. I'd also like for Mr. Reynolds to please come forward. Mr. Reynolds, come on up. Mr. Reynolds, Miss Kathy's art teacher, you are a part of the City of Franklin's Public Arts Commission for the second year representing Franklin Special School District. We thank you for your support and for representing us well. Okay. Kevin?
We're also honored tonight. You just got the gift card, and the person who presents these, who gives us those, is here tonight. Chuck Sugg, would you please come on up to the front? In the community, on the baseball fields, in softball fields, in the schools, at almost every turn, you see Chuck Sugg hauling cases of food or drinks, passing out gift cards and coupons, and encouraging everyone along his way. Tonight, we are honored to recognize Mr. Sugg for his countless donations of time, talent, and food to every single one of our schools and central office over the course of many years. Managing partner at Sonic, Mr. Sugg is a longtime supporter of public education. Both of his children went through the Franklin Special School District. Three of his children went to the Franklin Special School District. And now I don't know where I am anymore. I lost my, it just.
Tuesday night is family night.
Tuesday night is family night. Okay, I'm back on track now, thanks. That's all I needed, Chuck. All three of his children went to Franklin Special School District, but he has spent many hours since those days helping in the gyms, the fields, and the playgrounds, the parking lots, and the hallways. He has used his position at Sonic Drive-In to show the fast food chain support of local teachers and students in many ways over the years. For example, Chuck, through Sonic, has paid for the families of our school district to have access to free tutoring through Homework Hotline, available during the weeknights to students who need extra help. He supplies rewards in the form of gift cards to our students for a multitude of reasons, including our Student Artist of the Month program you saw here just seconds ago. All of our employees are provided special educators discount cards up to 20% off at the local Sonics. The discounted and free food and drinks he provides our schools for assemblies, faculty meetings, rewards, and special events is incredible. Most importantly, Mr. Sugg is a constant reminder that our students, educators, and support staff are appreciated and supported by him and his restaurant. We are very grateful to Chuck, a faithful business partner and friend of the FSSD over 2 decades. Let's please give Chuck a round of applause.
Thank you, Kevin.
Absolutely.
3 children.
Yes,
Family
sir.
night, Tuesday night.
Yes, sir.
My oldest son, Bud, high functioning special needs. When he's 3 years old, he didn't talk. My mother said something's wrong. All he does, babbled like Brooks. So we took him, got him checked out, went to the regional intervention program, Bill Wilkerson, and while he was going through his therapy, 3 or 4 years old, they asked us, what school district are you in? We said, we're in Franklin, it's Franklin Special School District. The therapist stopped, she said, you don't know how lucky you are. She said, you won't need us in a couple of years. Long story short, Bud came through the FSSD, went to all the FSSD school. Poplar Grove the first year was open, then came and worked with Lisa Weston at Freedom Intermediate. When Bud was an 8th grader, he just blossomed. Right now you can't shut Bud up. And if you've ever been to Sonic in the morning, Bud is the one with a very good voice. Welcome to Sonic, my name is Bud. And just tell him hello, but with all my children, the FSSD has been wonderful. You guys have, in my mind, one of the greatest examples of leadership right here. I don't want to embarrass him, but every time I look in the paper and read about a bonus and what he's doing with his bonus, he does things the right way, and it's easy to support something like that. So thank you guys.
May I interject? Chuck? Hey, Chuck.
I met my wife in art school.
Thank you very much, Chuck. It is now time for public input. We would like for anyone that's interested in having a conversation with us to come forward. I will exercise a couple of caveats. First, you must be within the Franklin Special School District boundaries. Second, we would like for you to speak only for 3 minutes because we only have 15 minutes allotted. And third, you'll need to place your name and address on the podium on the form. Do we have anyone coming forward for public input? Seeing none, public input is closed. We now have an opportunity to have a board representative for the Community Pre-K Advisory Council Board. Previous, Mr. Kevin Townsell has been our board representative. Kevin, are you open to being the 22-23 board representative?
Yes, I am.
Great, thank you. We also have the Tennessee School Board Association Legislative Liaison for this upcoming year. I was told that Ms. Robin Newman is interested in still being a part of as our legislative liaison. Are you in agreement?
Sure.
Great, thank you. We also have convention delegates that we need to ask each board member if they will be interested. We need up to 3 for the Tennessee School Board Association convention. Dr. Barker, are you interested?
Yes, and I've let Carol know.
Great. Any others?
I am.
Okay, great. We need one more. Tim? Or shall I? Okay. I'll be happy to be the third one, Carol. Thank you very much. We also had an opportunity for me to participate at the COSBA Urban Boards Alliance Symposium, and I'd love to share that we had 4 representatives from the state of Tennessee that were able to participate, and 2 were from Montgomery County in Clarksville, as well as 1 from Memphis, and I represented Franklin Special School District. And this is what our Tennessee School Board Association has requested for us to be a part of for future, and it was a wonderful conference, very informative, very positive, very focused on teaching and learning, strong curriculum, and I think it's something that we should consider for future. I will say that they will have their COSBA National Conference in March, and it will be in Tampa Bay, in Florida, and then they'll also have another one in August that will be in Chicago. So I'd like for us to consider this. It's already listed in our policy, and for future, I think it's something for us to look into and have more dialogue and conversation about.
I have a question. Are you suggesting it replace something or just be added to our list?
I think it should be added to our list. Because this is so new, there are still some kinks that need to be worked out. I think it's something going forward that is extremely beneficial We did not have any leadership at Tennessee School Board Association that was there. It was just the school board members. So that gave me a little pause for concern. But other than the school board members there and the ones that I was able to talk to that are specifically from Tennessee, I think it's something for us to consider for future.
And once it gets more robust, would you think something fall off or still just both?
I think that's something that we'll need to probably have conversation with about in perhaps one of our retreats.
Okay.
And I'd love to give you more details and show you the brochures and information that I received if you're interested at another time.
Do we need a motion to add this to the list?
No, it's already added to the list.
Thanks.
Okay. Approval of board agenda.
Let's go back and do number 1, teaching and learning report.
Oh, I'm so
And then
sorry.
construction
Thank you.
report.
Yes, thank
So-
you. Thank you for that correction. For teaching and learning, Dr. Decker, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. In the latest installment of the Get to Know the Teaching and Learning team, tonight the TNL spotlight shines on Technology Supervisor, Mr. Mark Anderson. Please enjoy a brief video. As you can see, Mark's responsibilities and skills are vast, and it was important to him and to me that he also recognize the technology team. And I'd like to say a special thank you. Mrs. Amber Whitley couldn't be with us this evening, but she filmed and edited that video. Thank you for your attention.
That was really wonderful, and I did appreciate the spotlight. I also appreciate, Mark, you requesting to feature some of the other people on your team, giving us an insight to all the things that you guys take care of for us. Thank you.
Any other comments? Thank you so much, Dr. Decker.
Thank you.
Now for the construction report.
Dr. Esslinger is out tonight, out this week, so if you have questions, Chip would probably be the best person to answer those questions, or I'll try, or Mark's been involved some in the process, so.
Okay, seeing none, we'll go to the approval of the board agenda. Do I have a motion?
Motion. Motion approved.
I second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor? It is approved. Thank you. Second, approval of the consent agenda. Do I have a motion? Thank you. Thank you. A motion and second. All those in favor? Approved. Business before the board. Dr. Snowden?
Yes, first item is the annual contract to audit accounts for fiscal year 2022-2023. Matlock Clements PC has provided the contracts to conduct the financial audits of the district for the period July 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 2023 at a fixed auditor fee of $29,070. The fee of $28,500 has been the same amount that had been in our contract for the past 10 years. So you can see there's a slight increase, but over 10 years, that's a very, very small increase. There are two contracts, one for the district accounts and also one for the individual school activity funds. The administration recommends approval of both contracts.
Because this is something that involves dollars, we need to have a roll call vote. Dr. Barker?
Well, we need a motion.
Move to
sorry.
approve. Move to approve.
A motion, please? Thank you.
approve.
A second. Okay. Dr. Barker?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. It is approved.
Item number 2, policy revision, virtual education program 4.212. This is a second reading. Public Chapter 897 allows districts to utilize virtual instruction for up to 2 days each semester. This option can only be used in certain scenarios, examples, severe weather, serious outbreak of illness. TSBA has provided their model policy. Although PC 897 only allows our district up to 2 days each semester for virtual instruction if needed, the district will continue to earn stockpile days to use for inclement weather. Minor updates have been made upon final review by the administration for the second reading, such as removing line 11, number 2, continuity of educational service for students who are quarantining, as there is no state board remote learning policy for this school year, as well as administration of end-of-course examinations, as exams would not be administered virtually. There were no changes requested by the board, even though the board did request for us to go and look. It's the law. Regardless of whether this policy is passed or not, I'm going as the director of schools. I have to abide by the law. So we don't necessarily agree with this law like we don't agree with the third grade retention law. But it is the law.
Thank you, Dr. Staden. Do I have a motion?
I motion to approve.
Second?
Begrudgingly second.
We have a motion and second. All those, any comments?
Dr. Stone, I appreciate the way you phrased that for everybody to understand.
Any additional comments? All those in favor?
Yeah, me too.
It is approved.
Thank you for that. Item number 3 is a policy revision. This is a second reading, attendance 6.200. Tennessee Code annotated 496/3007 changes the tiers of the progressive truancy plan. Under the new law, Tier 1 applies to all students to provide school-wide prevention-oriented supports. TSBA has provided updates to this policy to align with these changes. Along with these revisions, per Public Chapter 878, state law no longer permits the denial of a driver's license due to poor student academic performance. Accordingly, TSBA has updated their model policy to reflect this change. There were no changes requested by the board on first reading. We recommend approval.
Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
A second.
Motion and second. Do we have any comments?
What was the main idea behind this change, to not hold students accountable by withholding a driver's license for performance?
I think that was one of the main things, and it's not necessarily that I mean, there's still a lot of accountability for students, just not in that particular light with the driver's license.
If we choose not to implement this policy, because I don't think we have any students that drive, are there other components of this?
There are other changes there
Okay.
that go along with truancy, so it is important that even though we don't have students that drive, there are other aspects of the law.
Okay. We've always trimmed out pieces of TSBA model policies that really don't apply to us. Is this, are we going verbatim on TCA verbiage? Or is this TSBA recommended?
This is TSBA recommended.
Okay.
Any additional comments? Okay, we have a first motion and a second. All those in favor? It is approved.
Item number 4, first reading, policy revision, grading system 4.600. The revisions update introductory wording by outlining administrative procedure and responsibility in the evaluation and recording of student progress. In addition, the policy is updated based on the new grading scale for high school courses that the Williamson County School Board has adopted in their policy 4.600. This applies to our high school courses taken at the middle school level: algebra, geometry, languages, any of those, I think computer science. Am I leaving something else out? In these courses, students may receive high school honors credit by passing grade of 70 or above both semesters of the course. These courses will be included in the calculation toward the WCS honors diploma. We recommend approval.
Do I have a motion?
Second.
Thank you. Motion and second. Any comments? Seeing none. All those in favor?
Item number 5, policy revision, student assignment 6.205. This is also a first reading. Revisions are to bring the policy to current practice. We recommend approval.
Do I have a motion? Second.
Second.
Any comments? Okay. All those in favor? Approved.
Item number 6, policy revision, use of personal communication devices and electronic devices, 6.312. This is also a first reading, and also revisions are to bring the policy to current practice. The administration recommends approval.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve and waive second reading.
Okay. Second. I'll second. Any comments?
Dr. Snowden, I have a question. So we are at the point where no one actually just bring in their own technology, right? Their own computers, right? Because we're one-to-one.
Since we moved 1-to-1, that's right. That's correct.
Okay. I didn't know if any students were, for some special reason, brought their own in.
There may be some, but that would have to be approved. But
Okay.
this is not it's not wholesale since we are 1-to-1.
Okay. Thank you.
Any additional comments? Okay. All those in favor? Approved. Director of Schools report.
Yes. Excuse me. Yes. Thank you. The members of the first is the Director of Schools Advisory Council. The members of the Director of Schools Advisory Council are in the process of being selected from each site. Our first meeting is scheduled for October the 6th. The Advisory Council is composed of an employee and an alternate from each school, representatives from central office, now combined with our personnel from the central office annex, the FSSD, maintenance and landscaping, and transportation. The meetings offer opportunities to celebrate successes at each site and department, as well as to bring concerns and questions to the directors of school. Also, complaint managers for the FSSD. The Director of Schools has appointed the 2 associate directors or designees as complaint managers for the FSSD in accordance with the Complaints and Grievances Policy 5.501. Just a reminder, fall break will occur October the 10th through the 14th. District offices will be closed as well during this time. And you have a listing, Carol provides you a listing of updated conferences and meetings, and those, as you will note, they do include the COSSBA meetings and conferences. Also, just a reminder that the Williamson Chamber is hosting a State of the Schools address on September the 29th at the factory. At this point, I think Mr. Stillings, Ms. Newman, and Mr. Townsend will be representing our board along with our associate directors, principals, and assistant principals. Also, thanks for each board member for continuing your diligence and your personal growth as a board member, as well as the growth of the board collectively. As noted earlier in the meeting, Ms. Bell just attended the new Consortium of State School Boards Association Urban Boards Alliance Symposium. That's a lot to say. Big title. The Mid-Cumberland region of our Tennessee School Boards Association will be meeting the evening of September the 29th. That'll be in Williamson County with our sister district. It's our understanding at this point, Mr. Townsend, Mr. Stillings, and Ms. Newman will be in attendance, and I know Mr. Blair. Well, I've got two from Mr. Townsend down here. Okay, so you will be able to attend.
Right.
So anyway, the ones that can attend, I think Dr. Barker's out of town, and someone else, Mr. Blair is out of town, possibly.
Yes, they'll be.
Okay. So anyway, we're glad to have the representation at the local regional meeting of the Tennessee School Board Association. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Any updates from teaching and learning?
Nothing additional. Thank you, ma'am.
And we will have the Finance and Administration next month with Dr. Esslinger. Any additional announcements?
Well, just noticed that we have Casey Hall here from the 11th District, Williamson County Board of School members, so thanks for coming out tonight. And that's all I have.
If we don't have any other announcements, we are adjourned.